Hi, everybody. This is the Real Dental Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and with me today is the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Daniel Bird, and his, what would I call Sammy? Is she the brains of the operation and you're the hands? How does that work?
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good way to call it. She runs the show. I just work there. I work for her.
I got you. So I'm going to jump into get a little bit of background on you two guys, but just to give our listeners a little bit of background about you. Dr. Bird has started a practice, and actually, why don't you give them the background from West Memphis, Arkansas, going into practice ownership there, what you had there, left there, tree farm, mobile dentistry. I mean, you're pretty much a man of many parts. Can you give just kind of an overview of what your career progression has been so far?
Yeah. So, so I started at the University of Tennessee Dental School, started in 1999, and I graduated in 2003. From there, I bought my first practice right out of dental school. I don't really know why I did that. I just guess I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I never even considered anything else. And someone actually approached me like my third year and said, "Hey, we have a practice in West Memphis we want you to look at when you're ready." And so they kind of put the deal together, and I bought a practice right out of school. So I went straight to West Memphis, Arkansas. I lived in Marion, Arkansas, and worked in West Memphis. Bought a practice from a dentist who'd been there for 23 years as a female dentist. She retired. Well, she was retiring, and the funny thing was that she was going to stick around for a while and kind of show me the ropes and whatnot. But her daughter was a child actress, and she got a gig out in California. So probably my first week, maybe my second week in business there by myself, she picks up and moves to California on me and didn't come back very often. So I was kind of thrown in with both feet and learned how to run a busy practice. Mm-hmm. And she was quite busy when I bought her out, and she didn't stick around and show me how to do it. So it was fun. I took my lumps and I learned a lot from it. I wouldn't give anything for my time in West Memphis, but kind of got bored with that and started wanting to do other things. Like you mentioned, I did get into a little mobile dentistry there for a little while. Found a good need and found a way to work in that for a while. Then just moving on a few years, and what was I doing? Oh, so a guy came by and wanted to buy my practice. That's what happened. And I sold it. And I said, okay. So I sold my practice in West Memphis, and I worked for him for a year under contract. And then after that time ran out, I did some consulting, helped a guy open a practice or two. And then I decided I was ready to do my own. And I had been thinking all these years how I could do dentistry better, be more efficient. And I knew that I had the concepts and I had a vision for what I wanted. And it took me all these years to get to where it was time to do it. But so I did it. So I built one in Crosstown Concourse, and that was in 2017. And then we just built our second one, opened it in October on Highland Road in East Memphis. So here I am.
I like it. I want to come back to the business, but tell me about this lady sitting next to you, because it wasn't too long ago I was sitting down drinking beer with you, and now you're drinking red wine out of a wine glass. You got a lady sitting next to you. It's a whole different version.
Well, she tamed me, I guess. Now this is
trying to keep him healthy.
That's right, trying to keep me healthy. This is my wife, Sammy Bird, and Sammy Bird is she's the brains behind the operation for sure. We got married in 2015, and it was right when I had sold my practice. And so she never really got to see me running a practice. All she saw me was not running one, and I was miserable. And it was a rough time there for me emotionally. Like I never knew how much running a practice did for my soul, I guess you'd say, my ego, maybe. I don't know, but I needed something. I think it's more something to look forward to and work towards. So not having a practice was terrible. So she convinced me that why don't we just start a new one? And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess we could, And so she was teaching school at that time. She's a taught special ed. For how many years did you teach special ed?
12 years.
12 years she taught special ed. So she's a school teacher by trade, but she's really, really good with people and really knows how to manage people and a team. And so she's found her sweet spot running our office. And these girls love her and they respect her. And she didn't know anything about dentistry, but you don't really have to run a business, So that's who she is. She's the brains behind the operation.
It didn't take long to realize, maybe a month or so after he sold his practice and started his contract, that he is not the type of person that needs to work for other people. I've always only ever been an employee. He's only ever been an employer, basically. So I knew right off the bat that he did not function well having people trying to tell him how to do his job.
Right.
So that's when we started looking actively in Memphis for a place where he could start something new. And basically, we just had a clean slate.
Yeah.
It was like a do-over card. Just here you go, and you've got all this experience. And we just started making a list of every possible thing we would want in a dream practice. And me being, a person with no inside dental experience, I questioned why does it have to be so sucky, for lack of a better word?
Why does it have to suck? I say it all the time.
I was a teacher, and I would take off for a dental appointment, and I would have to take off basically half a day, because by the time you get there and then you wait for your appointment, you do the paperwork and you sit and you wait in the waiting room, and then you get taken back and you sit in the chair and you wait there, and then they clean, and then they come. And then if there's anything wrong, you have to reschedule, take another time off from work. And it just irritated me. And I couldn't figure out why does it have to be that way? And that's kind of how our whole, the main point of our whole practice is not making people wait, being efficient and valuing people's time. And it kind of was born from the fact that I've always worked for other people. I had to take time off to go to the dentist. And it's really frustrating to do that. That's the last thing you want to spend your paid time off doing, is sitting in a dental office, getting your teeth cleaned, just to find out you need to come back in a few weeks to get a root canal and a crown. And that, that's going to take lots of time too. So that's it just kind of grew from there. If we can change that, then what else can we change about it? And my other big thing was, I hate the way it smells when I walk into a dental office. The smell is gross, and it gives me anxiety.
Reminds you of bad experiences as a child, So we got rid of all the smells. That was a great idea.
We just came up with a list of
everything
what
that
are the
sucks.
things we can change.
Everything that sucks about dentistry, let's fix it. There's some things you can't change. Dentistry, it's expensive. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it requires needles. But there's some things you can change, and the things you can, for some reason, most dentists, we never did. I didn't in my old practice. I wouldn't sit upright. I guess we're probably jumping ahead, aren't we?
You're fine. You're fine. Now, I do want to learn about. Tell me about what did the acquisition look like in your first practice? What did the financial arrangement look like? Did you go to a bank, get a loan? I would imagine as a dental student, at least right now, it's very, very unlikely that they get finance from a bank.
So my very first one you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah. So that deal, like I said, I felt like it was an insider deal. I was in West Memphis, Arkansas, and the family, the Ferguson family. Dr. Ferguson was a dentist. Her husband is Dr. Ferguson, the radiologist in West Memphis, and he's very involved in the city politics and on the board. And he's actually on the board of the bank, Fidelity Bank. And the bank is the one that contacted me as a dental student saying, "Hey, we would love your business and we're going to sell you." I mean, I think the deal was worked out before I ever got there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But Fidelity Bank, who Dr. Ferguson was a board member on, gave me a loan to buy their real estate and to buy the practice. There was two separate notes. That was 2003.
Very good. Now, were you from Memphis originally, or is that just
from Memphis, Arkansas?
That's what I thought. But you went to school. You went to dental school in Memphis.
Went to dental school in Memphis. That's right.
Yeah, and then decided to stick around there. So your family's back in Arkansas?
My dad lives in Little Rock, and that's about all the family. And my son's in Fayetteville now, and that's about it as far as our family. We're a pretty small family.
And you knew Sammy before, right? You knew Sammy from high school?
Yeah, we were high school sweethearts, actually.
I gotcha.
And
he just didn't wise up before college. Is that what happened?
We were just both stubborn. He went to Arkansas, and I said, I'm not doing anything that I know anybody else is doing. So I came to Memphis, and that was back before cell phones and FaceTime and social media. So, if you have to wait to get on a payphone to call your girlfriend in a different city, that just kind of falls apart.
And he didn't follow you to Memphis.
Nope. And I was too stubborn to follow him to Arkansas. So there you have it.
Well, you're not supposed to follow him to Arkansas. He's supposed to follow you to Memphis.
Yeah, that's true.
But he wound up in Memphis.
He did. It worked out the way it was supposed to.
And now I'm a season ticket holder and proud supporter of the Memphis Tigers. So, so it all worked out, didn't it?
Worked out.
I like it. Then so you own that practice for a little while. If you looking back, knowing what you know now, looking back on your first practice, is there anything that you would have done different? Or is it just kind of a hindsight's 2020?
I mean, I probably would have, just knowing me and the way I like to do things, I probably should have went ahead and got certified to do IV sedation early on. I was the first dental student to ever place an implant. And I placed 9 implants my senior year of dental school. So I was ready to go with implants when I came out. But I did not have any sedation training, and I never did it, and I always wished I had. Mm-hmm. But that's the only thing that I don't do right now that I probably would do if I did, but I'm not going to do it at this point. I don't.
What about business side?
On the business side, God, yeah, there's a lot of things that are different. You and Reagan bailed me out of that first time, that mess I was in. And that's just for not knowing any better. And I came out of school, I had practice handed to me pretty much. I just had to sign on the dotted line, and there I was. I went to work, going to be mentored, but I wasn't. And I was all of a sudden learning every day how to do dentistry and how to deal with this old team of women that was loyal to their boss who left and didn't like me at all because I didn't know what I was talking about most of the time. And they just didn't like me, so that wasn't working. So I had to end up hiring and firing several new teams. And yeah, I would do a lot of things different if I could start over. If I could do it again, but I don't know.
I remember you had
I wasn't afraid that time.
Yeah, I remember you brought an associate in there at one point. Tell me about that a little bit. At what point did you decide to bring the associate in? How did you know it was the right time? And
I hadn't even thought about that. I'm glad you even reminded me. I forgot I had an associate. I don't know why I did that.
I remember coming in for a consult. He was clean cut, clean shaven, looking good, looked like a dental student. And then the next 3 months later, I come back and he's got a beard and he just looks just exhausted. And I was like, is it that bad?
West Memphis it's tough on folks. Yeah, Jeff Matthews. He moved to Nashville. I never really needed an associate. Mm-hmm. I just thought it would be cool to have one. And I was over there by myself in West Memphis. Really, there wasn't a dental study club or a friend group of dentists over there. They all thought I was out to get them, I guess. I don't know. I was the youngest one by 20 years, probably, except for 2 guys. Yeah, and I had the inside scoop at the bank, so I'm sure they thought I was rotten from the start. But and I actually advertised a little bit, and that drove them crazy too. All right, ask me another question. Jeff Matthews. Yes, I don't really even know how I met him or where he came from, but I just remember. To be honest, I don't have any idea how I met Jeff. I think he was friends with one of somebody's friends, one of those kind of deals. And he's like, yeah, I need a job. And I said, yeah, I'll hire you and I'll teach you how to do implants. And I brought him over there and he went to work with me. And it was nice to have someone to talk to and teach a little bit. I enjoy teaching. And anyway, he was fine. He did a good job. I taught him a lot, and he worked when I wanted to take days off and stuff, which was nice. But West Memphis was not his gig. He was way too cool for that. He moved to Nashville. He's doing great.
Oh yeah,
all kinds of good work in Nashville now.
I gotcha. Yeah. What? How do I phrase this question? What do you think? Dental students graduate now, $500,000 worth of debt. What do you think they need the most going in? Would you recommend that they go straight into practice ownership if possible? Would you recommend that they go into a corporate environment and get a lot of direction and guidance, seek out a private practice? I've got a lot of thoughts there.
You know what I would do? Honestly, I think if I had, luckily when I went to school, it wasn't that expensive, it just wasn't. And my dad helped a lot with the tuition and, I didn't come out of debt. I didn't come out of school owing a lot of money, but these guys now, they're coming out $500,000 in debt. It just blows my mind, really. I think I'd probably try to go to like Indian Health and go to Alaska and get a deal where they pay my debt back if I work out there on a reservation on the Indians or the Eskimos or whatever they need me to do. I think that'd be kind of fun, and it'd be a good way to get your loans paid off.
Yeah, I think NYU is the first dental school to break $700,000.
Oh, Lee, yeah, couldn't imagine.
It's crazy, man.
So, you know, I don't think anybody. And here's the other problem with this damn virus going on. The school now, they can't see patients like they did, and these kids are coming out with very little training. You know, I mean, I'll do more on Thursday than they did in the last 2 years, and it's not right. They should know how to. They don't know how to do enough dentistry. They're graduating them, and they're not learning enough. So they'll never be able to pay back a practice note. If they were to come in and buy a practice, there's no way they could afford to do that and pay $500,000 back in debt with the skills and the speed they have. I just don't think it's practical. I think they need to go do something, get some speed and get some legs underneath them, and get some of that debt knocked back. And I think they have to do some type of Indian Health or something. That's my guess.
From my experience, what I've learned is, and this isn't all dental students. There's some dental students that come out and they're very driven. They're very global. They have a lot of, self-confidence and self-esteem in their skill and their ability, and they can come out and kill it. And then you got other guys that, you'd be lucky if they do $1,000 to $1,500 a day. You know what I mean? It'd take them all day to see 3 or 4 patients.
Yeah.
Not knocking anybody, not being critical or anything like that. Just saying they just didn't get enough repetition, in dental school. And so if you plug that person into a private practice, it's going to cost the owner of that practice a lot of money for a while before that guy's productive or that woman's productive. Whereas I think corporate dentistry serves a valuable role in this area because, they can.
I agree.
They're so desperate and dependent upon young dentists. They've got to have somebody to turn the handpiece, right? They have a lot of turnover, so they've got to have somebody to replace them with. They provide a pretty lucrative package. You got relocation stipends, you got signing bonuses and tuition reimbursement. You got a lot of this kind of stuff, your daily guarantees, and then they provide a lot of direction, right? Like they basically treatment plan for you. Now, some people, whether it's unethical or not, I don't know. I'm not a dentist, obviously, but I would hallucinate that I don't think they're necessarily and there are different ones, right? There are some DSOs, corporate DSOs that are better than others. I would think for the most part, they're probably just very objective in what they say the treatment plan is, right? And dentistry is very subjective.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at, look, if these 5 boxes are checked, this is the treatment, right? Like, don't even think about it. If these are the 5 boxes, you can check these 5 boxes and it looks like this, sounds like this, smells like this, then this is the treatment plan.
Yep.
So I think it gives them a lot of repetition, a lot of direction, a lot of guidance early on. And there's a lot of pressure to go fast. Right. And so I think that pressure and I think the guidance, I think that helps them become more productive more quickly, as opposed to you take that same person and you plug him into a private practice with a very passive dentist. And let's be honest, there's really 2 types of dentists out there that own practices, the very passive ones that let their teams run all over them, or the off the charts D's or C's that are very abrasive in their communication. They have a lot of turnover. Right?
So what am I? I don't know what my letter is. What are you?
I would call you you're a D, definitely a D. But like you've got D, I, S, and C. Your S's and C's, they're going to be a little bit. Depending on how you want to look at it, not to spend a lot of time on this subject, but the 2 leadership styles are directive and supportive. And I find that your I's and your S's tend to be a little bit more passive. Your D's and your C's tend to be a little bit more directive because they're very task oriented as opposed to people oriented. They're not as concerned about relationship. They're more concerned about results and things being right. And so the passive people tend to build entitled teams. The directive people tend to build disempowered teams, and you don't want either of those. Right. And then you've got the top 10%. And the top 10% are the people that know how to balance the 2. They know when to provide direction. They know when to provide provide support, and they build very empowered, very high performance teams.
That's what we got. We have the most high performing team you could ever imagine.
I definitely put you in that category.
I've been around a lot of teams, and I've had an array of my own teams. I can tell you this team I have right now is absolutely, I call them Cracker Jacks, but that's just what I say. They're just Cracker Jacks. They're amazing. They're leaders, and we let them manage themselves, and they just take responsibility. They're just fantastic. Can't say enough good things about our team.
Now, do you think you just hired the right people, or do you think that your leadership and Sammy had some influence on?
I think we hired the right people, and we had some influence over them. Yes, and yes. I think from what I've learned over the years on how to manage the team helped me a lot, and with how Sammy manages people just in general. That's why she manages the people, but we can even good cop, bad cop sometimes a little bit, but we don't even really have to. We've empowered our team. That's what it is. The cool thing is our concept of no waiting, same day, everything, 1 hour crowns, all the stuff that we do, all the things that everybody said that could never happen. When we hired our team, we didn't even have an office yet. Our construction wasn't even done. And we sat down with them and we told them what we wanted to do. And they all had these blank looks, and they were like, but how are you going to do that? And we were like, exactly. We don't know either, but we're going to figure it out because we don't even have an office yet. So we got time. Let's start working on it.
Picture it. It's going to be amazing.
And we figured it out, and we made it work, and we set it up and built it and designed it. And it works like amazingly well.
We're basically the support system for the team.
We're the coach. We're coaches.
We're there.
We coach them.
We don't micromanage. Like you said, we did hire amazing people, but we let them do their thing.
We empower them.
And for the most part, that's what people want. They want to feel like they have some ownership over what's happening. They tell us what they want to do. They ask us, can we do this? Can we do that? And the answer is always yes. If it works, yeah, let's try it. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then we'll toss it out and try something else. But people want to feel like they're important
and have input,
have input, and aren't just being micromanaged all day long. So I think you can make the mistake of hiring smart, motivated people and then totally crush their desire to
waste them
to want to please you or themselves or anybody else by trying to keep your thumb on them all the time. Highly motivated people, high performers, they want a piece of the pie. They want to help figure things out and solve problems and not be told constantly every move that they need to make. So yeah, you do have to hire the right people, but you also have to then trust them
and train them and trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of what criteria would you say that you recruited? Like, what was your highest priority when you hired a team?
Flexibility. That would be mine, because we knew what we were starting was something like Daniel said, that we had a vision and an idea and lots of ideas.
That's all we
had.
And
the people we were interviewing were saying, how are you going to do that? And our response is, you're going to help us figure that out.
We don't know yet.
We're going to do that together. Do you think it's a great idea? Yeah. You want to try to help us make that happen? Yes. Okay. Then let's try it. So that everybody knew going into it, the main thing was, don't dig your heels and don't marry yourself to any certain thing that we're doing, because we don't know if it's here to stay.
It may change.
You're going to be constantly trying new things. And if you're the type of employee person that you don't want, to stop doing what you've been doing and try something new that might be better. If you want a routine, you want to go to work, punch your clock, count your beans, go home, this is not going to be the place for you, because we may be trying this one day until we figure out what our niche is and quote our dogs are running around.
Dogs.
Until we figure out what that is, we'll be trying all sorts of things. So flexibility for me was the main thing, because you might be sweeping the break room today, or you might be, cleaning teeth. I don't know what you're going to do. So that's going to have to be okay with you.
So it's safe to say you don't have any S's on your team. Because those are the folks that are very go with the flow, don't like change. Right. They want predictable. They want structure.
Yeah, no, we we have had, and they did not make it. And we try to be super open, as transparent as we possibly can with people when we interview and when we talk to them, and we have them come in and, shadow and watch how we do things, because you just don't get it when you don't have an office manager and your team self-manages and you're with a group of leaders. It's just a different dynamic than most people are used to. Nobody that I've interviewed has worked in a situation like that, where
they all come from
their coworkers going to direct them on things, and they're all equals, but they've all got the same end goal. So it's not for everybody. And we just like to be open about that. And it's no hard feelings, but might not be the place for you. We want to make sure it's a good fit. So, so far we've had great luck with it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the startup concept, because like if somebody came to me and they said, "Hey, I want to start up a practice," my very first response is going to be, have you looked at 5 to 10 practices that you could buy before you try to start up? Because startups are very expensive. And my premise behind acquisition over startup is I would rather buy cash flow that's going to pay the liability without it costing me anything out of pocket. So if I can buy a practice that's spinning off enough cash to provide me an income and pay the note at the bank, then it didn't cost me anything to acquire that. It's not only giving me an income, it's also building an asset cash free. Whereas if you go to the bank and you take out a loan for $600,000, you're going to have to, if it's a conventional loan, you're going to have to put about 8 to 10% of that's going to have to be liquid. You're going to have that set aside. You're probably going to have to inject some of your capital. And you're until that practice breaks even, you're paying for 100% of that. And so I remember talking to you, I can't remember if it was at DS World or if it was at a platinum meeting, but you and I were face to face somewhere else in the country. And, I remember, I'll never forget the words you said. You basically told me, you said, "I'm all in." You know how we talk about being all in? You said, "I'm all in." I said, "If this thing goes belly up, I'm screwed."
Yeah.
I was like, man, that sounds like so much fun. Like it's scary, but it's exciting too. And it's like, man, anything could happen. Right. And so it takes a special mindset to basically be like, I'm all in. And either this hand plays out or it doesn't. Obviously, in your case, the hand has played out.
Yeah.
Tell me about your startup experience. What made you decide to start up as opposed to an acquisition?
Okay.
And then what was your concept? Essentially, what has your concept been that has led to your success with startups?
So we didn't have an option really, because to do what we wanted to do, it had to be, we do same day work first off, right? So our operatories are set up. I can do an implant in chair number 1. I can clean your teeth in chair 1. We can do a crown. We can do anything we want to do in that one chair at any time. We can do that in all 7 chairs. They're all set up the same, and we use carts for the hygienists. And so if someone's in chair 3 and needs a filling, well, we go ahead and do the filling right then in chair 3. We don't have to move them to a hygiene wing. So basically, in most practices, you have a hygiene area, and then you have operatories. And you don't mix match those. I had my old practice for years. They get their teeth cleaned down the hall, and then we fix teeth in any of the other rooms. And if they had cavities at this appointment, well, we couldn't see them. We had to bring them back the next week or whatever and bring them and put it in the other room where we could do their filling. I always thought that was dumb. Why do we not keep shit to do fillings everywhere? That's what I kept telling them. But nobody wanted to move stuff around. So we started fresh. The design was a big part of what we were going to do. We did not want a front desk. So it's hard to buy an office that doesn't have a front desk. They all have them. So we built one without one. We didn't want a waiting room. So we built one. We designed and built our practice to exactly what we wanted it to do. So that's why we couldn't do a startup. I mean, we couldn't do an acquisition. There's nothing out there designed for how we operate. Mm-hmm. First off,
we built it basically around our vision. We came up with the vision first on paper,
right?
And then built the actual office
and
space
then the office
around
space. Then
what would be the best.
We drew it out, like we were architects, and like how would it work when they walk in? What do they see? Where do they go? And how do we do this? And so we designed it like that. So that's why we did a startup.
In the lab.
And we wanted to build a lab, and so that was another reason. But to the whole concept of startups, yes, they're certainly expensive, and there's no cash flow. Those are two accurate statements.
Scary.
It sucks. You know,
It's very scary.
At that point, I'd been a dentist for 14, 15 years, and I was fast. You know, I owned practice by myself for a long time. So I knew I could produce enough. As long as I could get the people in the door, I knew I could produce enough to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Most people, I mean, young guys don't have that luxury because they're still learning. They don't have the speed. So it was kind of a special fit for me.
We knew we wanted high tech.
Yeah, we knew I wanted all the best technology and the best, and we bought the best of the best. We did not save a single penny anywhere, which is ridiculous. When I look back, I'm like, damn, that was ridiculous. But it's worth it. And I have everything that works.
I could have got one of those. I could have got one of those red cams off of eBay, traded it in, got the $10,000 reimbursement.
We went all in on good stuff. You know, we just really wanted to build something beautiful and with meaning, and it was a project, you know. And so, but I knew that I could make it work. I was never concerned. Now, you asked about banking. We went to 4 different banks before we could get funded to do it. Yep. And that was 15 years of experience. And I had all my records from my old practice that showed where I was killing it in a little town in West Memphis, showing them what I could produce, and they were still turning me away. And honestly, the main reason they were turning me away was because my concept was new, and I was selling it to these bankers, and they were like, they'd always sat in their old dental offices and it stunk, and that's what they thought it was supposed to be like. They totally didn't get that I was about to blow the doors off of dentistry. But also,
they didn't love the location.
They didn't love our location. And our location in the Crosstown Concourse, I knew it would be fantastic because there's 3,000 people that work there and live there, and they're there every day.
And you're the exclusive dentist in that.
And I'm the only dentist in the house. Mm-hmm. And so it was a built-in patient base for us. I knew that. And I knew that the neighborhood didn't have any dentists much to speak of around it anywhere. So, I mean,
how did you get that relationship with the concourse? You know who to talk, because they were rehabilitating that, right? It had basically shut down, and then they were reviving it. And how did you get into that?
Well, so it was a big project. You know, it was a Sears building, and Sears sold it, and they were going to demolish it. And a group of artists that down the street from a place called Crosstown Arts saw the building and like hated to see it run down. And they put together a bunch of wealthy people, basically, which boils down to a bunch of investors in Memphis that love the city. And they put a ton of money to the tune of $280 million to rehab this building. So as I was driving by it every day for several years, it was right close to where I live, and I'd see it, and I'd be like, dang, they're going to do something to that building. Every day it looked like you'd see a little more progress. And one day I just drove around there and pulled up and took a picture of the phone number out front and said, I'm going to call and ask what's going on about it. What's the deal? I called the agent on there, and he said, yeah, we're leasing space and blah, blah, blah. And it was not that easy. It took a while to get in there because the building they had intended uses for it. And they just didn't really want any regular dental office in there. I don't think they even really thought about a dentist office, really. But when I approached them and told them my concept and how I'm going to have a lab, we're going to do lab work all over the country or all over the world even. And because we do digital dentistry for everybody in the world, honestly. So my concept is what got us in there. And they liked it.
And when we learned what the vision was for the concourse, It was just like
their vision and their mission statement is very similar to how we thought.
With what we were doing. There's nothing that goes into the building that's not art, education, or healthcare. And then there is some retail and restaurants, but the businesses that lease are all in those 3 categories. And it's just a multi-use. There's lots of common areas. People come and
it's a high school there.
The high school. It's just
the museum.
It's super cool. It's super modern. It's an urban vertical village. You know, it has a YMCA, and it's just, I don't know.
It's a great place for us.
It was exactly what we were looking to do. We didn't picture ourselves in a building that size.
No.
But their vision was so right on line with what we were doing that we knew that was where we had to be.
So there lies the problem, because we want to. All of a sudden, you can't own that space, but to build in there, it was in hollow shell. And so it cost us over $1 million to build our space out.
4th floor.
That we don't even own. We're on the 4th floor in the West Atrium in the corner. It spent $1 million up there that we don't even own. And so the bank didn't get my idea. I'm like, look, yeah, it's expensive, but I'm right there. And there's 3,000 people there every day. And they're going to break their tooth on their lunch break. And I'm going to fix their crown. I'm going to crown their tooth on their freaking lunch break. And it's going to be perfect. And there's a high school there. And it's just going to be, and they just couldn't get it until finally I got a banker to get it.
And he had done.
Let me tell you how I got him. I went to all the other spaces that they were doing build outs in. I just started snooping around, and finally I asked the guy, like, who funded this? He's like, oh, you got to call Renaissance Bank. They did ours. They did the one down the hall and the one down the hall. And I said, that's where I'm going. And I called him. I said, look, man, I know you're in this building deep. How about a dental office? And he listened to my story, and before you know it, we're going to Grizzly games together, and it was a good deal.
It had to be somebody else that got it too.
Yeah, he understood it.
We had to find the bank that understood what was about to happen there, because not everybody can see it.
We took bankers from Mississippi, tours of them, to the concourse. I walked them through the whole thing with hard hats, like I ran the place, trying to convince them to loan me money to build a practice in there. It's funny you didn't think about that. Yeah. But that's a true story. I did that, but it still didn't work. They still turned me down.
That's a tricky
hard. The rejection was hard.
Yeah, what's that?
I said the rejection was hard. Like it's
okay. I've got
your pride on that.
I've got a rejection story for you. I went when COVID hit and everything shut down. Gyms were one of the things that shut down, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I like to spend a lot of time in the gym, and I was fortunate enough that the guy that owned my local gym kind of let me sneak in the back door, so I was able to train while everybody else was at home. But I was like, I don't know if it's going to last forever. And then so he approached me about buying his gym. And I was like, yes, because I had approached the previous owner. I was like, if you ever decide to sell this thing, let me know. Well, he wound up selling it to 2 new guys, and I never knew anything about it. So they approached me and asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I said, absolutely. I said, pull this information for me, send it to me, let me take a look. And so we sat down, and I made an offer, which was, I buy and sell dental practices every day. So, I know how business evaluations work. And I sat down with them, and they were so completely unrealistic about what it was worth. I was like, guys, I'm nowhere near that number. It doesn't make any sense for us to continue. And so after I poured all this energy into it, I was like, well, now I want a gym. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start one from scratch. Over 40 banks.
Wow.
That I went through this process with, going through Google, finding people if I can just find somebody to finance the equipment, I can cash flow the rest, and over and over and over again, and talking to all these people and pulling this information together and sending it to them. I can't count the number of people I sent all my personal financial statements to, tax return and all this kind of stuff. I had to put my own little special folder on my desktop, so when somebody asked for it, I could just grab all that stuff and put it in the email, and it was there. And finally, I found a bank out of Mississippi that had financed a big gym in Mississippi before COVID hit. And apparently, what I was trying to do was the most difficult thing to do during a pandemic, which was open a startup and a gym of all startups. And so here it's 6 months later, and I'm still finalizing the details to get this thing done. But from what I understand, we're through underwriting. Everything's approved. They're just trying to button up a few details. I've already got the land picked out. We're building a building, 8,000 square feet, got the equipment, going to plug it in there. It's going to be awesome. But it's very similar, because it's like what you've done is you've mirrored a business project with a passion project, and you put those two things together.
Yeah.
And that's a very special thing. I think that is a primary contributor to why you've had so much success with that. And it's because you're passionate about it. And that passion bleeds over into the people that work for you, and it bleeds over into your patients that come see you.
I think so too. Yeah, they feel it. You read our reviews, you can tell when the people write reviews about us, it's almost like they're it's like I handed them a vision statement. Here, read this, but they're not. They just get it. They can feel it. It's pretty cool. It really is.
So how much of your? Oh, actually, before I jump into that, tell me about your technology. CERAC, obviously, same day crowns.
Yeah.
3D printer.
3D brush. We got 4 of them, maybe 5. Yeah. We have the lab with Josh and Darren.
Yeah.
IDT Dental Labs, and so that was a joint venture when we built our practice build it and put them in there. And we got them all the best stuff they wanted. And they're doing digital dentistry for people all over the world. I mean, Darren has accounts in London and different places in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all over the East Coast, West Coast. He's sending crowns all over the country that he's doing digitally right there in our office, which is awesome.
So they scan them, they digitally transfer the file to him. He mills the crown, puts it in an envelope, FedExes it to him, overnights it to him.
Yep. Yeah, or however, I think he offers them a 1 week and a 2 week. 2 weeks for one price and 1 week's a different price, basically. Now for me, obviously it's instant. He stops what he's doing and does mine, and then goes back to doing the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, it works fine because I'm just a blip in his radar every day. He'll stop and do what I need him to do, and it's great to be able to do things and offer things same day for people. Something I never had before, and it's life changing for people that have never had a crown before don't get it, but the people who have had a bunch of them, they can't say enough good things about just the technology and being able to. Of course, I'm fast at dentistry at this point, so I can do a root canal in that same hour that they're milling that crown. I can do a root canal and a crown an hour all day, every day. Pretty awesome. And that's life changing to people too that spent weeks and weeks and back and forth to the endodontist and back and forth to the temporary crown, and spent 5 weeks and all this time, and I can do the whole thing in an hour. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Uh-huh.
But that's really been fun for me. That changed how I operate. I never practiced like that before.
Uh-huh.
Now I do. When it's changed, that's been a lot more fun. We have cone beam technology. We just have the best of everything. You name it, whatever's out there, we got it. I got erbium lasers, check that off. I got diode lasers, check that box. I got cone beams. We got 2 of those. We got 4 laser print or 3D printers. We got all the mills. We got a puck mill. We can do all the zirconia overnight. We got you name it, we got it. Everything. I don't think there's anything. If there's anything we don't have, we need to get it. Apparently,
Are your I was going to bring up Celea. You mentioned lasers. Are your hygienists doing like LBR and LAPT?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. We're still growing our hygiene program, and I'm proud of our hygiene program. We've really done good starting from scratch. It takes a while to develop that, but we got a pretty good program going. We're just not quite ready to start. They're ready. They've asked me more than once, can they start using lasers? I'm just not quite ready to unleash them yet. We're still doing so good with our perio program and our it's coming. We're getting there because
let me know.
Believe it or not, we started up with no people 3 years ago. Now we got 5 hygienists. Can you believe that?
Wow,
5.
You're checking all 5 of them?
Yeah. Well, no, I got 2 offices now, so I got 3 at one and 2 at the other.
That's right. Do you have a dentist in the other office, or is it like a satellite?
No, I got a dentist there full time.
Okay. Where'd you find him?
It's Jessica Jordan. Jessica Jordan. So that's an interesting story. When I sold my practice the very first time in my West Memphis practice, the group that bought me, you remember Burris and Matt Wilkins and that group that bought all those ortho practices, and then they started buying general dental practices. They bought my practice, and they hired a bunch of dentists right out of school, and they hired Dr. Jordan right from school, and they put her with me. And they were really smart. They told me and told her, you're not going to see any patients. You're just going to follow him around for about 6 months. And that was the plan, was for her just to listen to me and let me show her how to do the relationship part of dentistry, not the actual, and watch me do my stuff and teach her to be more efficient. But they really wanted her just to they didn't really want to see patients. They just wanted to have her watch me see patients for 6 months, which was awesome. So I really got to spend a lot of time with her. And then they sent her off to her own practice. They split us up. So then when I got ready to open the startup, or when I got ready to open the second practice of our startup, I called her and said, hey, actually before that, I called her to fill in on some Fridays. I got a hold of her and said, hey, I'm opening a new practice and I kind of need to fill in. And she was like, oh, I'd love to work with you again. So she came over and filled in just on Fridays. And then that led to, hey, I like it here. You got any more work for me? And so we built a second office and we got her full time now. So
we had to make sure the fill-in part was great because we had a couple of other dentists fill in a few times, mainly to let the team try to get a feel for people, because as different as we function, the dentist that works with our team is going to have to be they're going to have to fit in with that too.
Yeah.
So
it
was important that the team liked the dentist, and that the dentist was able to connect with the team the way that Daniel does, if that makes sense. I feel like I went around the world to say that, but it's not the same as every other place. So it was important that they fit in and, wanted to bond with the team and had the right personality and wanted to lead and kind of teach and be flexible too. So the team definitely fell in love with Dr. Jordan. It was obvious she was going to be a good fit for the entire practice. So I have to say that about her.
Now, was that your plan all along, was to go into multiple locations, or did you found the right person? You're like, hey, I got to keep her. I'm going to have to build another office if I'm going to keep her around. How did that?
No. Our vision has always been multiple locations. Soon as we got our concept up and going in our mind, we felt really sure that it was just going to work, because there were so many things that we knew we could improve on that people would like. And so we knew our idea was to build 5 practices in and around Memphis. And my thought was there's 1 million people in Memphis, but give or take, I think the population is 980,000, damn near 1 million people in Memphis. So if I could split up 5 different places through that city, I think I could cover it pretty good. And that was my idea. We're just going to build 5 practices and have them run the way we do. No waiting, 1 hour dentistry, same day dentistry, great customer service, all those things that people, a nice, clean facility that smells good, looks good, feels good, good music, nice people, get you in and out efficiently. We value their time. If you do that, you're going to be successful. I could probably build 50 of them and be successful, but our plan is to build 5. You never know. It depends on how the world works. We may build more. Just we got a couple more ideas I've been debating about telling you about, but I may not tell you live on the air now. So, but we got a couple things we're really proud about that we're working on. That
you don't want to let the secret sauce out.
We'll talk a little longer. I might tell you if my wife will let me. I don't know. You can edit this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So you can edit it out if it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you got her in your second location, and then what's the plan? When do you plan to open a third?
When the second one starts churning it out, we're doing really. The first one's really doing strong, and it's staying pretty. Our numbers are staying high, which I'm pleased with. Our new patient numbers and our production is really solid. So the new one is lagging. I think it's because we opened in October. Memphis shut down hard as it could be in November for the COVID again. So that kind of slowed. We had a great schedule and it just crashed on us again.
Wait. You opened it up in October of 2020?
Yeah, hell yeah, we did.
Holy man.
Hell yeah, we did.
Oh my gosh, man.
The ball was rolling. There was nothing we could
stop
do.
it. We started construction like in February.
Yeah.
When it was still all good. Everything was great. And then they just kept on. I wanted to tell them, put the hammer down, but but they never did. And we looked up and it was ready to go. So we just had to go to work. We didn't have a choice. So October was slow because it was our first month and it was just bad. And November was shitty just because it's November and the COVID. And it was our second month of a startup.
December, and we got shut down, or not shut down, but Memphis in general.
The restaurants and everything. And so part of our business model is we put our practices in where the action is. Where we have restaurants and nail salons and things we can use to work with our, how we do with having relationships with our people around us.
Yeah.
Those people, when they shut down, then there's nobody around. And so we kind of got, I'm going to be honest, we did pretty good. And I look back, I looked at my numbers. I felt like we were just dying over there on the vine. But when I looked at my numbers and I looked at what we did the first 3 months in our first location, we were beating it in our second one. I never would have guessed it, but.
Because you did $1 million in your first year in Crosstown, didn't you?
Yeah, or more than that, probably. I think we did more than that. Yeah, we did more than that.
And, talking about startups, I think a big contributing factor in that too was we went all in on finding a marketing, call him a marketing guy. It's a marketing firm. And before we even had an office, Daniel found Ben Fan at Farmhouse, who I guess at first he was going to design the logo, and then it just went on from there. He had mainly does marketing and advertising for
PR for us.
Yeah, but he's really only ever done bars and restaurants, and that's what we were looking for, was somebody that was not going to slap not to offend other dentists, but a toothbrush or a dental floss,
tooth on the logo.
a tooth.
You wanted something different.
Yeah, we were going to be different. We wanted something that showed we were different. And Daniel gave him the spiel of, this is our vision and this is going to be great. And he got it. And he said, I know exactly what you're doing and it's awesome and I'm doing it. And he created an entire brand story for us. And he does all of our social media, advertising, print ads, and
he gets me PR spots on the news all the time and radio spots.
Yeah, I have to give Daniel 100% credit on that. I hear a lot from the people that I interview about, that my office was making me do all the social media, a hygienist or an assistant, that marketing and advertising kind of gets shuffled to just whoever has time to do it. And it's not strategic.
Right.
And we definitely built that into our startup budget.
Yeah, for sure. We put a bunch of money in for advertising.
I would give a lot of the credit to our patient base, to the fact that Farmhouse just got us out there and kills it on our social media. It's, people all the time are talking about how awesome the website is.
You've seen our posts, don't you?
They're social media, Facebook.
Your Smart Mouth Club.
Yeah. And so everything put out there, Ben touches it in some way and makes it fit our brand.
I've referred a bunch of folks to him. So when I started seeing your stuff, I'm like, listen, there's like 3 companies that I tend to refer on the marketing side, because my clients will ask me, who are your people using for marketing, all this kind of stuff. And everybody's using somebody different, but there's like the lower level, there's the medium level, then there's like this is your premium program. And there's one out of Nashville that has a different approach than Ben takes. What I really appreciate about Ben's approach is, if you look at the 5 areas of marketing, you've got branding and identity, internal marketing, external marketing, enrollment, and what's the 5th one? Branding, identity, internal, external. The 5th one is escaping me at the moment, but branding is without question the most important area with that. And I think that's the place that gets neglected the most, right? It's like people like Farmhouse is a branding company. I would call them more of a branding company than a marketing company, just by looking at their posts. So when what they're building in your social media platform is the message behind the image. Like, you see the image, but the image tells you something about that company. It's going to attract a certain value set, right? A certain type of person. And I see what he's done with some of my clients down in Georgia. He does phenomenal work, does incredible work. So he's back to the gym.
He can take what you have in your head and
put it on paper.
It's amazing.
So cool. Yeah.
He's good at what he does, and I would give him all the props.
But when you first start up and you tell somebody you're going to spend $50,000 a year on advertising, they think you're crazy, But
that's nothing, man. $15,000 a year?
No, 50.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Well, not relative to the amount of money that you're generating, though. I mean, if your budget's as a startup, your budget's probably 8 to 10% of your revenue. Now you're an established practice. You've been around for how long?
3 years.
3 years now. So you're becoming a good sized practice, especially if you're doing over $1 million. $1 million in revenue. I mean, if you look at the big grand scheme of things, $1 million in collections, that's the top 10% of practices in the country.
Yeah.
Top 10%. It's hard to believe because, for you, it would be because it was so easy for you to get to $1 million. Both practices you had were north of $1 million.
Yeah.
But the average practice out there collects $728,000. There's a ton of $600,000 to $800,000 practices out there. They're everywhere.
Really? Man, that's just hard to believe, but I guess that's just we operate different. I like to bet big, win big, but I like, I'm busy, and I read on Dental Town, all these guys, they don't like to be busy. They like to see just a few patients and let their hygienists do their thing. They don't like to work. I like to get in there and do it. That's what I do. And I would say what's the word for me? I don't know. I like to do it. I'm in there. My goal, my ultimate goal, and my goal for this year is to hire another dentist right now. I'm trying to hire a dentist right now for my Crosstown location and to train them and get them going. And then I want to be the guy that goes in between the two offices doing the implants in the big cases. And to me, that sounds like the best of both worlds. I can be the kind of in-house specialist, if you will, and we don't have to refer anything out. That's another secret to startups. You really can't refer stuff out. I mean, it's just literally money walking out your front door. Watching somebody that comes to you with just a few crooked teeth and looks you right in the eye and says, "Once you fix these teeth, here's $4,000," and you have to say, I can't do that. I'm gonna send you down the street and give him your $4,000. To me, that just broke my heart. I'm like, I've got to learn how to straighten teeth. It can't be that damn hard. And when it comes to all this stuff, I've never let myself. I just keep wanting to learn and get better. So I don't refer a whole lot. I just don't. Mm-hmm. I refer pedo, and that's it. And that's because I love children. I have 4 of them myself, but I don't like to work on them. Kids don't like to be worked on. I don't like to work on kids. And so when I opened Crosstown, I said one of my very few things, I get to set the rules in this place, and I'm going to say I'm not treating children. I didn't buy any kid stuff. I don't do any kid dentistry. We clean their teeth, but if they need a filling, we refer them out, and that's the only thing we refer constantly is pedo. Mm-hmm. But
have you thought about bringing in a pediatric dentist?
Well, no. Funny you mentioned that though. But our brand is getting pretty big. So I'll tell you this: we're on pay. We started with patient number 1 3 years ago. And every day when they call, we put them in the computer. Now we're on patient like 5,350, I think.
Yeah.
As of today, that's a lot of patients.
Yeah.
And so we get this question all the time. Hey, you see our kids? Or do you see kids? And we always say no. So we've decided that we're working on the idea of CDG kids. And so we have a 5,000 patient base. They all belong to families, okay. and we're referring these kids out constantly. So why not just
your 5 locations is going to be
our next location is about to be CDG kids, I think. And I'm going to hire a pediatric dentist, and we're going to run it like it's going to be a pediatric dental office. I'm just not going to be there.
And orthodontist?
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. And we're going to do that, and we're going to run it the way we run ours. We're going to have no waiting. We're going to have customer service. We're going to have fantastic customer service. We're going to do it the way we do. We're going to do it right, but good equipment, good clean facility.
Just smaller.
Just a little smaller chairs. And we're going to be CDG kids. And I think it's going to absolutely kill it because our patients are asking for it. And so why don't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? It's kind of like Gap and Gap Kids,
Yeah. I knew when I saw your brand that there was something more to it than just general dentistry.
Yeah.
Because Crosstown Dental Group, the name, I think you even sent that to me like before it was a thing.
Yeah.
Sent me your logo and said, "What do you think?" And I saw it and I was like, "Yeah." And then I think I may have asked some questions, but when I saw group practice, that immediately told me that you're probably going to have more than one location.
Right.
And it immediately told me that you're probably going to have a variety of different providers in there. And so I don't know that this is going to happen, but if I had to guess, in 10 years from now, I don't think you're going to have brick and mortar endo practices and oral surgery practices and perio practices.
They'll probably be in one house.
Yeah. Well, what they're going to do is they're either going to be a part of a small DSO and they're just going to bounce between those locations.
Right.
They're going to be in one really big group practice that's got multiple GPs.
Like Yolanda has.
Yep. Or it's going to be like, let's say I'm an oral surgeon, and it makes so much sense, man. Why would I own and operate a brick and mortar facility, have the staff, those challenges, paying the bills, all that stuff? Why would I deal with all that stuff and take home, oral surgeons probably taking home 60% of what they collect, they'll call it $600,000. Why would I do that when I can produce and collect the same amount working in 16 different practices one day a month?
Yeah.
None of the headache. None of the staff responsibility, business ownership responsibility. I show up, do the dentistry, go home, you send the check.
Yeah, I think that's a great model.
I think that's where it's headed. I think the 2 verticals that are going to kind of stick And it's because they mirror one another so well as pedo and ortho.
Yeah.
Those are going to kind of stick together, and you'll still see pedo and ortho practices, but I don't know so much about the other specialists. You might have some like a bit like Southeast Oral Surgery. You got like several oral surgeons that work in this one, and they've got a few hundred GPs that refer to them. Those may stick around a little bit longer, but I don't know about the rest of them, man. It's getting a little challenging for them because more general dentists are placing implants.
Right.
General dentists in their perio in-house.
Yeah. Well, I do my own braces now, That's a big secret. They want you to think orthos is just terrible secret, but it's not that hard once you learn how to do it. It's just moving teeth. And it's fun. I love ortho. So we do a lot of our own ortho, but if we open a pedo office, which I keep saying I believe in the universe and putting these words out there. And I think if we keep talking about it, it's going to happen. So the chances are we're about to open a pedo office. It's first heard right here.
Yeah. It only makes sense. I guess it kind of happened. I thought it happened organically.
Yeah, it just happened.
We have so many patients that want us to see their children, and we will budge a little bit, some of them, and let them get in there, but it just doesn't make sense for us to use our chair time to clean kids' teeth. So it's more of just a personal favor to some of our patients. But all of a sudden, the light bulb went off, and we thought, we'll just do a whole separate facility, and it can be CDG kids. And then
we thought, so then when we decided to go to South Haven or somewhere next, we could do South Haven. We could have CDG South Haven at the same time, build CDG kids right next door. Mm-hmm. We could have two practices at one spot.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So we're at growth mode here, at least in our heads. We just got to find in our bank. It's funny how the banks are. We banks turn us down left and right. Just turn this down. All of a sudden we start doing good and showing numbers. Now the banks are calling us left and right. They're all wanting probably a piece of that. It's kind of funny how that works. When you're doing good, you don't need them. That's when they want to be around. When you really need them is when they. So, but we're about to put them to the test. We're about to see who's ready to do it again. Because I'm ready.
I'd go back to Renaissance, man. Say you guys took a chance on me. Because they did. I mean that could have very well went the other direction.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It was about the last straw at that point.
Yeah, we were getting stretched thin at that point.
We were getting beat down at that point when they finally said yes.
But startups are hard. But again, if you have I didn't want to buy an office from someone that wasn't set up right, didn't smell right. You never get the smell out of the place. You got to get rid of the front desk. I didn't want to remodel, and I know how I want things run at this point pretty damn well. And I'm not going to put up with how we used to do it. So I would probably have to get rid of the whole team of people and start over anyway. So at that point, it's a startup. Only thing you have is cash flow from patients.
You're buying the patients.
You're just buying the patients. And we're getting so many new patients. I mean, it's just ridiculous how fast they're coming to us.
Insurance, leveraging insurance plans?
But everything, you name it. But a lot, we for sure. And I'll say that's one of the things I 100% was for. Everybody will say don't do it, but we take every insurance we can, pretty much within reason. Because I don't care how good you are. That's the first thing people say. You take my insurance. If you don't, you can have the best dental practice in America, which I think I have, and they still won't come to you over insurance. It could be $20. They don't care. If you don't take your insurance, then they're not going to. What is it? If you're not going to take the insurance, they're not going to come see you. So we take a bunch of insurances.
We've called some though.
We have called a few, but we started out. We were smart the way we did it because we hired 5 Lakes insurance consultants for starting, and they went in and helped us negotiate really good fees to start with. So we had some really high fees, and they negotiated us in the right directions, and so you get better fees if you come from one way than from the other.
Yeah,
just know these plans, and so they helped us negotiate that, and they charged us $5,000 something.
Well, and they figured
out. Are
you
using like an administrator, third-party administrator, like a Carrington or something like that?
What about it? What about Carrington?
There's there are third-party administrators that carry let's say 15 insurance plans under their umbrella. And if you go use Blue Cross, for example, if you go through Blue Cross, let's say Blue Cross's maximum allowable fee is $840 on a crown. Right. If you're in network with Blue Cross directly, they're going to reimburse you $840. for an in-network patient. If you go through Blue Cross through a third-party administrator like Carrington, they're going to pay you $11.10.
Right.
So
That's
you can
what we
go
did.
out of network with Blue Cross and in network with Carrington, get Blue Cross back by default plus $300 on your crown.
That's exactly what we did. That's what that Five Lakes did for us.
Yeah. Yes.
They set us up with those kind of companies and those and got us going. So we really, it made sense for us to take insurance. And of course, on a new startup practice, that's the first thing people want to know. You take my insurance. So our idea was to take as many as we can, get as many butts in the chair, show them what we can do, show them how great we can be. And then as time goes, we'll create loyal patients and we'll weed out some of these insurance plans that aren't any good.
You can always back out of them.
Yeah.
You can always back out of them. But insurance plans are great. All insurance plans is a mechanism to make treatment affordable. And so, patients want comfort, they want affordability, and they want convenience. If to be a great dental practice CEO, if you just constantly reinvent the wheel to cater to those three needs, you're golden. You're golden. I mean, you will continue to grow. And so that's all insurance really is. There are points at which I think it's a good idea to start backing out of insurance plans. For example, like I've got a client down in Columbus who he's checking 4 rooms of hygiene, and now it's taking him 2.5 hours to do a crown, right? Because he's checking 4 rooms of hygiene plus an overflow. Can't find an associate to plug in there. And so we started backing out of insurance plans to control demand because it was 8 weeks before he'd get a crown on his schedule.
Because he was slow at it?
What's that?
Is that because it took him 2 hours to prep it, you said?
Well, I'm just using that as an example. Like it was obviously the more rooms of hygiene you check, the longer your major restorative is going to take.
Right.
And so it was getting to the point where it was counterproductive for him, right? He couldn't get enough restorative on his schedule, and he was having to appoint major restorative out too far, right? And minor restorative out way too far. And so we plugged an associate in there briefly. She lasted about a year and then she left. But then we started backing out of insurance plans, right? To help control demand and so that he wasn't as busy. He could check his 4 rooms of hygiene, make more money, not necessarily increase volume. And obviously when we bring the associate on, we can always go back in network. Or another example is I've got a client who came from a fee-for-service environment, wanted to be in a fee-for-service environment. And I helped her buy her first practice. We looked at several, vetted them. And the practice that I looked at that I told her she needed to buy had like 5 to 7 insurance plans in it. And obviously she wanted fee for service. And so she kind of questioned me on that one. She was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Trust me, this is the practice you need." Because it had a very, very mismanaged hygiene schedule. He needed 3 hygienists in there. He only had 1.
Yeah.
Right. And fee schedule was out of date. Insurance reimbursements were old. And it was a very reactive dentist in there. She's very proactive. So I looked at like his crown to filling ratio compared to hers. And I was like, she's going to be doing 4 times the production per patient that he's doing. So we fixed the hygiene schedule. We fixed the fee schedule, fixed the insurance reimbursements. She went in and started crushing treatment plans. And that practice went from about 980 to 2.4 million in about 2 years.
Wow.
And now she's on her way to hit 3 million this year. And this will be her 3rd year. Bought a second location, immediately took that location from 1 hygienist to 2. And so that practice will double this year. But the second practice is completely fee for service. Her first one now, they converted the chart room into an operatory and moved it up to 7 operatories from 6. And now they're starting to blow the doors off the 7 operatories. And she doesn't own the building, so she can't blow a wall out. And her rent is dirt cheap for where she's located. It's like 1% of her revenue. So I was like,
stay there forever.
Hang on to this. But now what we're going to do is now that she's blowing the walls off that thing with 5 to 7 insurance plans, we'll start backing out of those insurance plans until we turn that thing into a fee for service practice and we're blowing the walls off. Then we'll go build a building.
Yeah. That's what we need to do. We need to get, I feel like we're too early for that, but it'd be nice to go fee for service, but damn, I just think that'd be so hard.
Yeah. Then we cut out a percentage of our patients and we're trying to be there for them. And
yeah, I mean, I don't worry about it. We do a lot of big cases too, and those people, insurance doesn't really matter. You know, it's like a coupon. They get $1,000.
That's the other thing, man. I think I totally agree with you there. I don't know if you know Trent Argwall, 3D dentist over in Raleigh.
Uh-uh.
He makes some really good points. He's a smart guy. Very good, very business savvy guy. And I've had some conversations with him, and he makes a really good point. Like, if you want to do the $40,000, $50,000 treatment plans, you're going to have volume of patients. You're going to have to, there's only so many $40,000 to $50,000 treatment plans, right? The bigger the bucket of patients you got, the more of those cases are available. And you're going to have to present those sold and on the schedule. So the more patients you see, the more of those treatment plans you're going to present, the more treatment of those types of treatment plans you're going to get on your schedule. So insurance is a very good way to make that possible.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Because if you're fee for service, you're going to grow more slowly. You are more profitable. I'll give you that, but you're growing more slowly. And it's almost like, if I were to build a practice from scratch, I'd be in every insurance plan under the sun. I would wait until I got to a certain point, and then I might back out of a plan or two, and then back out of another plan or two, and slowly move myself, towards a fee for service.
Yeah,
environment.
That's what we're doing. We'll probably get there eventually, but it's such a new patient flow we got going, and it's mostly, but as you said, people come in because of insurance, but if they pick up a big plan when they're there, the insurance is out the door anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer insurance patients at that point.
Right.
And I do a lot of those.
Insurance is what gets them.
I do a lot of those, and they're not, I don't do a lot of big all on 4 cases, but I might do, 2 2-unit bridges. That's 4 implants and 3 crown, on people, that kind of deal. That's a lot. I do a lot of cases like that. And those are great treatment plans, but insurance doesn't help at all with that. So those patients are just straight up cash patients. They don't realize that. They think they're insurance patients, but they're not, so.
Yep. So when's Sammy going to sign her coaching agreement, come work for us at Fortune?
Shit. She could do it for sure. She'd be a great coach. We've already said that, but I think I'm going to keep her in house, because if we have 5 practices in the next 2 years, we're going to need her.
Yeah.
We may need you too. We may need to hire you to come help us.
Yeah. That's my favorite part, is the team. I love working with the team. And that's what the one thing he said when we started, when I agreed to quit teaching, was he said, you have to handle the team. I don't want to deal with anything with the team. So that's easy. I've been a teacher for 12 years. I know how to do that. So I know how to deal with parents and kids. I can handle hygienists and assistants.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have it made, man.
I do.
You can partner with me over in Memphis. Sammy can become a coach. People will refer, doctors will refer, people will refer business to her just because her husband's a dentist.
Yeah.
She works in a dental practice. She's a multiple dental practice administrator. Right. She'd explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might, he can hire you to be his Memphis area coach.
So if he insists, I have lunch with him every day.
Yeah. We eat lunch together every day though. So that.
Oh, do you? Good.
That is true.
No, it's fun. We have a good time. I've told him from the beginning, I'm not going to quit teaching and do this if it's not going to be fun.
Need to get some of those.
Brightworks. What is that?
So one of my offices down in Atlanta. She got those. She got those made. That's Farmhouse. Farmhouse did that.
A logo, yeah.
That's her branding.
I
And
like
then the second location is Far Road Dentistry, and it's the same little emblem, and dentistry's the same font, but Far Road's in Buckhead, right? And Buckhead's kind of bougie, and so the Far Road is in cursive.
Yeah.
And then this practice is in Dunwoody. Wonderful lady. Got a call with her when we wrap up, matter of fact. But it was interesting. I got a probably the best compliment I think I've ever received by an associate that works in one of her offices. And she said, what does she say? She says, she was being very complimentary, just kind of telling me how I've supported her. And she said that you help liberate people from their biggest fears. And I was like, that's without question the best compliment I've ever gotten in my life.
That's a great one.
If I could do anything for somebody, that's what I would want to do. Right.
You would tell you what, that is a great compliment. You know what that reminds me of? It's when we hired a financial coach for us. That's probably the most liberating thing we've ever done. It was the scariest thing we've ever done, but it's been the most liberating thing ever. I'll have to say, I mean, yeah. But same thing. He does for us what we were scared to do. Or
Things it just started to outgrow us.
Yeah, our practice was out.
Keep our fingers on, and
it's easy to manage a small cash flow. The more that cash flow grows, the harder it gets to manage.
Oh yeah.
The more that payroll grows, the harder it gets to manage. And
where do you put money, when, and how?
And we're getting big chunks of money at times, and we got big bills at times. And
it's leaner at times.
It's just she's a teacher. She didn't know how to run so we hired us a financial coach that came in, and he's been a lifesaver for us. Definitely. On our personal side, on our business side, and all those things that Fortune always talks about, like he's got our insurances in check. We have all the right coverages. We have all the right disabilities. We have all our home, cars. Everything is tight. We're working on a living will and trust right now. On Thursday, we have that meeting. We're getting our shit together. In other words,
filling in all the gaps.
He's filling in it. Yep.
We would typically push away because we're constantly thinking about the business and how do we grow it and what's next. And we're the ones with the energy and the excitement and the ideas and the details.
You're visionaries.
Yeah.
The visionaries. Like you see the future.
The life insurance, that takes a second. We'd never get around to doing all that stuff. So he's good at coming in and filling in, our gaps. And
he's our reality check sometimes, and got us working on personal spending habit. He sees our credit cards and our debit cards, and he knows what we had for lunch, and he really got us in shape.
But when you own your own business, your business is your personal. Yeah. It's all intertwined. So it was good for us to get it all sorted out,
separated.
I do like that. What they did this year. I think it's 2021 too. Yeah, I think it is 2021. Rather than 50% of your food expenses being tax deductible, it's 100%.
100%.
I was like, well, that kind of sucks, man, because I meal prep all my food. So I take it. I eat very little when I'm on the road. I keep it all in what do you call it? What are those coolers called? You
keep yours in a Tupperware box.
yeah. But I put them in a cooler, and they keep them in the
Yeti cooler.
Yeah, I got a big Yeti cooler back there, and I put it on ice, and I keep them in there, and I just stop at a gas station, heat my food up, and eat it. I was like, I'm not charging anything. Can I use that deduction somewhere else?
Yeah.
I'm not using that one. Or can I start taking my Kroger bill on Saturday night and writing that off?
You could.
Yeah.
I wonder. I need to ask them about that. I like it.
Yeah, we're having fun. We really are. It's been awesome. Just see what we can do. We'll keep growing and building something else here and see how that works. And I don't know. Eventually, I'm sure we'll sell it, or I don't know what we're going to do. But our goal is to get it up and running where I can take some time off and have more associates than we really need. That way, I don't have to be there every day.
Yep.
I could still work and still do the implants and the fun stuff that I want to do, and still have a vibrant business that's running as well. So
yeah, I had dinner with his name's escaping me at the moment, but I'm going to bring him on my podcast and chat with him. But he's one of the owners of a 14 location DSO in Atlanta.
Okay,
and millions. Every one of them are startups.
Yeah,
and they're one of the. I think they're either the oldest or the second oldest DSO in Atlanta. Like they built a DSO before DSOs were even a thing.
And they got 14 practices,
14 locations, and they're building another one right now. But we talked a little bit about associate retention and some strategies there, kind of like, sweat equity accounts and, things like that to kind of lock them in, for a period of time. But what I'm trying to encourage him to do is leverage M&A, because even you, man, with there's unprecedented acquisition activity taking place right now, like at a level never before seen. That's one of the reasons why that trend started heading that way. And that's why you started seeing like funeral homes popping up, right? Because the baby boomers are starting to leave the market.
Yeah.
That means they're leaving their practices, and the demographics coming behind them to buy those practices. There's not as many of them. So there's not as many owner dentists. And so you've got more practices and you have dentists to own them. And so it's consolidating, right? Yeah. And so it's very much a buyer's market. especially with COVID, makes it even more a buyer's market. And so I've seen some I've probably done 7 or 8 deals since March. M&A deals. I've done a few like second, third location deals, but it's the Wild West, man. I mean, it's a lot of very flexible, very creative financial arrangements between both parties to make the deal work, doing a lot of holdbacks and earnouts and getting creative because the bank will only do so much.
Yeah.
Right. And, but I'm telling you, man, those $600,000 to $800,000 practices that should be doing 1.5,
they're a bunch of them out there, aren't they?
They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you'll find it, and it'll be because you got to think those dental students come out of dental school. You've gone through this. They've got so much incentive to produce because they've got a $500,000 loan.
Yeah.
They just bought $1 million practice, $1 million piece of real estate, $80,000 car, $750,000 home, $25,000 engagement ring, just got married, had 3 kids all in the same month.
Yeah.
So they've got incentive to produce.
Yeah.
Whereas once they get the house paid off, the practice paid off, student loan paid off, kids are out of college, they got their own kids, right? Cars are paid off.
They don't have to work as hard.
Not have to work as hard. Plus they want to spend more time duck hunting and, on the golf course and more times with their grandkids. So they want more time off. And so now there's a lot of dentistry in that patient base that's not getting done.
So tell me this, what would be the advantage for a guy like me to buy one of those? Because
my gosh,
the whole operation. I mean, I get patients out of the deal.
Yeah.
But I couldn't work in that environment. So do I bring them to my facility and work there?
So let's say that there's a practice next door to you. It's doing $1 million.
Okay.
When you bring that $1 million over into your facility, you're only bringing 35% of the cost with it. So let's say that practice is doing $1 million and it's got 60% overhead.
Okay.
$400,000 on the bottom line, $600,000 of its cost.
Right.
Well, 250,000 of that 600,000 are fixed costs.
Okay.
Utilities, rent, insurances, all the stuff that you've already got covered.
Okay.
So the only cost that you're bringing over is the $350,000 that's payroll. You've already got that covered, right? But if patient volume goes up, you're going to have some additional payroll there. Dental supplies, clinical supplies, marketing, office expense, payroll tax.
I have to train that team to act like my team.
Correct.
Put them through our training program.
Or you may not even need the team. You may just want the patients.
Right.
So you can buy $1 million cash flow that's only got a debt service or not even a debt service. It's only got an expense against it of $350,000. You're going to drop $650,000 to the bottom line. That cash flow would easily speed up the process of buying your third location.
Just picking up another location to have to feed patients to the new location.
I mean, there may not be, like, for example, there may not be a merger and acquisition within merging distance of you.
Right.
Right. And it may, if it is, it may not be the right practice to buy. So you'd have to look at the variables. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Is this doctor flexible? Can we make this deal work? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If you can't, then maybe, if you're going to, have 5 locations at some point, maybe you've got a practice on the other side of Memphis that's in a lease. He doesn't even own the real estate, so you can buy the real estate and the practice and take that patient base and put it in the real estate that's designed to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, we may have to look at doing that because I'm sure there'll be a merger somewhere close. If it's a hot market, we ought to jump in it.
There's a lot. I'm telling you, man, it's tremendous opportunity. I even tried to buy a practice back in May. There was a practice here in Tullahoma that a broker contacted me about, asked me if I had anybody that was interested. I said, yeah,
I'll do it.
So I went and talked to him and we did numbers and I submitted my LOI and I gave him exactly what he wanted. I gave him everything he wanted. And guy was doing, I think he was doing like 700,000, 800,000, something like that. went through the bank process, got my pre-approval, got all that stuff done. And he wound up selling it to another dentist. And I asked him, I was like, what happened, man? I was like, I guaranteed to keep you on for 3 to 5 years or however you wanted to stay on. There was a practice across the street from him that the doctor's like 65. And they had already started talking about merging together. And so my plan was I was going to buy him. Yeah. And as soon as I close that deal, I'm going to knock on his door and I'm going to buy that one and put them together.
Yeah.
And he wound up selling it to another dentist. He said he just more comfortable selling it to a dentist. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, well.
It happens. Did you do any duck hunting this year?
I went 2 or 3 times, maybe.
Did you? Did you get any ducks?
A lot of luck, but had a good time.
Yeah, there were no ducks there when we went.
It wasn't that great. I mean, it was a poor season for sure.
Yeah, I got a client over in Knoxville. Like we shot a bunch of specks, but I got a client over in Knoxville. It's a big duck hunter, and he went like last week or the week before, and I mean they laid some mallards down.
Really? Where'd they go? In Arkansas?
Somewhere in Arkansas. I had to ask him where, but he knew right where I was, so he couldn't have been too far from me. But they were in the woods.
Yeah.
You know.
I just didn't go. But I'm a deer hunter these days anyway. Really, I'm a turkey hunter. I'm ready for turkey season.
Yeah.
I'm fired up about turkeys.
It's going to be here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm going to Texas March 19th.
Are you?
Starting out in Texas, opening weekend of the Southern Zone. Yeah, I'm fired up.
You on private land down there? Or are you doing like a?
It's private land. Yeah, we found some guys that own a little ground, and at least it's a spot. It's our first time to go to this place, so we're hoping it's going to be fun. I mean, I think guys been sending us pictures of turkeys, and I think it should be good. So,
and he finally got his boss to let him off.
I got my boss to give me a break from work. Yeah, I'm kidding.
I like it. Everybody needs a little time off.
Well, I'm looking for an associate right now, a good one, but I can't hardly justify a kid right out of school right now.
Yeah,
I just don't think. I think I need someone that's had, like you're saying. I think right now the Aspen Dentals or whatever, that's a pretty good training grounds for them. They're getting some reps,
but not too long.
They don't have to build real patient loyalties as much there. I don't think. Get them 2 or 3 years there. I'd like to have one after about their 3rd year, maybe 4th year. Yeah, in one of those places, and I could really teach them how to do it right, and be efficient. Because
they really don't. I mean, and they really don't know what they like yet.
No, they don't know what they don't know.
They haven't done enough of anything to really know what they like doing a lot of.
And it takes a good 5, 7, even longer to really get your trade down, get good at it.
Yes, she's now 6 years.
She's been 6 years. She's just now picking up some good speed.
Great.
It just takes a while to learn what you can cut out. That's really what it is. Dental school teaches you the long way to do everything. And from that point on, you just learn how do I do it better and faster than what they told me.
Right.
With less instruments and less burrs and less materials, and how do I do it better and faster than what I was taught?
You have to catch them in that sweet spot where they're still willing to learn.
Yeah,
they don't think they already know everything, and have bad habits and bad practices. And
one of them been doing it 8 or 10 years. They're almost too far gone to teach them what you really needed to teach them.
Yeah,
I really want one.
I wonder if that's why dental school's so expensive. Is they're just not that efficient?
Well, that and people keep paying it. I mean, eventually supply and demand should catch up with them. People are going to quit saying, "I'm just going to not do that job. It costs too much to get that degree." It's just dumb, really.
A lot to think about, man. You going to Platinum? I think is it May? No, it's
have a real one.
We hadn't been in the last few years. We went the first year we opened our practice, and I don't think we've been back since. We've been too busy trying to run it. But where is it?
They guaranteed it was going to be live.
Really?
That's what I asked. Is it real?
Yeah, we did our semi-annual meeting virtually last Monday and Tuesday. And then they guaranteed us it was, unless something happened, they guaranteed us it was going to be live. Now the trick is because they're rolling out the vaccines,
Yeah.
And I think Johnson and Johnson's coming out with one. Is that right?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And it's supposed to be just one.
Right.
Like you're not going to have to get 2 doses. But the problem is if they don't, and I had surgery and I was talking to my surgeon about this. And he was taking me through the science and all this kind of stuff. Super smart guy. And he was talking about if they don't roll the vaccine out fast enough and get the population immunized before the thing mutates again or mutates several more times, then the vaccine's not going to be effective.
Of course. Yeah. They got to hurry.
Yeah. And there's already a strain supposedly coming from Africa that's already mutated beyond what it was. So it's a tricky little situation we're in.
Have you gotten your vaccination?
I want it, but I can't. Somebody's got to put me on the list. Say, hey, this guy works for us.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That's how we got everybody. That's how we got ours. But I've had both mine.
Somebody told me that you don't necessarily have to work in a dental practice if you're a contractor that works with healthcare practices.
Well, that's what I just talked to my financial advisor about today. He's in our office all the time, and he works with several dentists around the city. And I told him, I said, I'll write you a letter. When I went, they didn't even ask for it. They just asked for my appointment confirmation. But I had a letter on letterhead saying I work in the office.
Yeah.
I told him I would just put something on letterhead for him too, saying he's in our office.
How do you get where do I go to sign up for it? To say, hey, I want to get this done.
Well, I went to the Shelby County Health Department website.
Okay.
That's what I did for my parents. My parents live in Mississippi. I did the same thing. I just went to the Mississippi Department of Health, and it lists all of the locations where they're giving vaccinations, and I just scheduled both of them appointments.
Okay. And it doesn't does it ask you does it ask you who you work for or anything like that?
It'll ask if you're like on my parents, it asked if they were in a certain age category. It asked if I was a healthcare worker, but it's not going to not let you make the appointment.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try that tonight then.
Yeah.
I want to get it done because both my parents are up there in age.
Right.
Plus I go in and out of a lot of dental practices, and I travel all the time.
Yeah.
You know, heck, I had to get rid of my truck, man. I'd put over 200,000 miles on that thing in 3 years.
Really? What'd you get?
I got one of those little Cadillac midsize SUVs.
Okay. Which
is pretty nice for travel. It's smooth ride.
Yeah.
That Yeti cooler barely fits in the back of it. But I didn't tell you I'm gonna tell you what I did. But I'm gonna have to get a truck too for something to drive around home because I don't like to fall in and climb out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna have to get I'll go find a truck like $10,000-$12,000 and you know, just something I can drive around home.
I got one I'll sell you.
What is it?
My King Ranch.
It's a Ford?
I got a Ford F-150 2013 model, one owner, 190,000 miles. I put every one of them on there myself. Yep.
190,000?
190. Yep.
Is it diesel?
Nope. Man,
yeah. Miles. How did you put 190,000 miles on that truck?
Mobile dentistry.
Because you had that Subaru. You had that Subaru not too long ago.
Yeah, I traded the Subaru for that truck.
Subaru.
Yeah.
You've had that truck for what, 7 years?
I got it 2013. Yeah.
2013.
I had the Subaru, and the Subaru, I just got tired of getting it too small, and I traded it for that truck. I've had it ever since.
That's how I feel about the Cadillac. But I put so many miles on it so short a period of time, man. I'm always going to be upside down on it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the problem with them.
Yeah. But I got that Cadillac, and I was like, man, because my meals in the summertime, that ice melts too fast. And then I'll reach in there to grab a meal and it'll have water in it. Right? My ice melt and I have to pour it out and then put it in the microwave. I'm like, I can't quit doing that. So, and then I was having food go bad on me. And so I was like, I can't do that. I'm wasting food. So I went to Walmart and I bought the smallest mini deep freezer that they had. I was like, I need something I can plug into power. That way it can keep it frozen. Right. And man, I measured it. I went over to the tools department. And I got a measuring tape. I went over to the refrigerator department. I measured the thing and I had the measurements from the back of my car. I missed a measurement somehow because that thing was 2 feet short of fitting. Like it didn't even come close. And I was like, I paid like $300 for it. And I was like, how am I going to do with it now? So I wound up giving it away. Because I've already got a big one in my garage. But I mean, it was funny seeing me try to fit that thing.
Yeah.
It didn't even come close. But cool, man. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, having a lot of success. I look forward to seeing location number 3.
Yeah.
Ortho and pedo.
I think we're going to call it CDG Kids. It'll be pediatrics and orthodontics.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably have a pediatric dental practice. I might even have an orthodontist come in. A lot of the pediatric dentists do ortho anyway.
Right.
And so I just my thing was, I didn't want to have to go over there. I mean, like, I don't want to feel obligated to work in that practice. I don't see kids. And I want to hire that. I want that 100% hire that done.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know a pediatric dentist looking for a fun job, send them our way.
I sure will. I'm
want to sell their practice. Yeah, we could do a merger. We could do a merger like that for sure.
Yeah. I'm in tight with the Student Dental Business Organization at the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville.
Okay.
And I've done a bunch of stuff with them, and I'm in pretty good with those guys, and they're constantly like reaching out to me looking for practice opportunities. A lot of them are looking at East Tennessee, but yeah, man, I'll definitely let them know that you're looking.
I'm looking for a general dentist in Memphis, and I'll be soon, hopefully, looking for a pediatric dentist in Memphis. So keep us in mind, man. Keep us in mind.
I surely will, and I'll go ahead and send the coaching agreement over to Sammy. We can get that out of the way. We got a team meeting. We got a team meeting tomorrow morning at 9:00. I'll send you the dial-in information.
Okay. All right.
Your new coach here, that'd be great. She'd be a good one, man. She'd kill it.
I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about it at all.
Good.
Well, guys, I'll let you get on with the rest of your evening. Appreciate you taking some time to chat with me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm glad we could talk to you.
Yes, sir. We're going to do it again. I need to get up to Memphis too, man. My coach is up there. I need to go train with him. And I'm fixing to start prep. I'm doing 3 shows this year.
Uh-oh.
They're all back to back. So I'm going to like peel down one time, do 3 shows in a row. And so I got to get up there anyway. But I'll let you know when I am. I'll come by there and see you.
You got to go see the man with the plan, Ron Poe. I'll see him in the morning. He's coming to do some implants with me tomorrow.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm doing some implants in my Highland office, and he's coming over to do them with me. He comes to my big cases usually.
Yeah. Tell him you did a podcast with me last night, and it looked like I was 300 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal.
You sure and tell him.
And tell him to shave that rat off his lip too. You see his mustache?
Yeah. Roland Swall. I love old Ron. He's a great guy.
He's wearing it out, man. Well, cool, guys. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Now you get to stop. Hey, it is.